Welcome to Learning Life Skills Together. This is our weekly community Zoom meeting where our guests help us to go deeper into the 4 life skills and open up a huge array of chances to practice them. Hello, everyone, and welcome to weekly Zoom meeting number 24. And I have with me tonight 3 guests from KD Markley Elementary School, great friends of mine and of, I think, life skills together, learning life skills together as well. So before we get to the guests, I'd like to start, as always, with a practice, just to bring us into a place where we can maybe listen a little more closely and hear a little more clearly. So we're going to do the practice that we call the soles of the feet. So if you're ready, you could start to bring your attention into how it feels for you right now, what you notice in your body. So maybe there are places that are tight. Maybe there are places where your muscles are softer. Maybe you notice how your breathing is. Fast, slow, deep, or shallow. Just so you know, not to make anything any particular way. And then you could check into what's happening in your thoughts, what's happening in the mind, as we call it. So again, maybe not so much worrying about what are the thoughts, but what's the quality of the thoughts? Are they fast or slow? Are they spinning around? Or are they just sort of coming in and hanging around for a while and waving goodbye? The way I like to put it is, this is the weather of your mind. What's the weather of your mind? Sunny, cloudy, foggy, getting ready to storm? Just aware of that. It doesn't have to be any particular way. And maybe there's emotion that's here right now. And maybe that emotion has a name, and you could name it silently to yourself. And then you could bring all of your attention to the soles of your feet. Let's come right into the soles of your feet, wherever they are. Maybe they're pressing on the floor. Maybe they're up above the floor. Maybe they're touching onto the instep, the insole of your shoes. Maybe you're barefoot. Just noticing how you are at the soles of your feet right now. Feeling your heels. Feeling the arch. Feeling the outside edge of the foot. Feeling the balls of your feet. And feeling your toes. Maybe even wiggling your toes so you can tell the different toes apart. And then feeling the whole of the soles of your feet, from the toes all the way back to the heels. And feeling your feet wherever they are. Maybe they're exposed to the air. Maybe you feel your socks and your shoes and the touch involved there. And then you could expand that sense of feeling your body to include the rest of your body, just moving upwards through your legs, up through your trunk, down your arms, up through your face, and noticing how the muscles are. Are they tight? Are they soft in places? What's your breathing like? Fast or slow? Deep or shallow? Maybe now, what's the weather in your mind in this moment, right now? Again, doesn't have to be anything in particular. We're just noticing how we are. We're checking in. And maybe there's an emotion. Maybe it has a name. You could say it silently to yourself. And then when you're ready, since all we've done is checked in, if your eyes are closed, you could open them. And so this is how you are, and you know it. So this is pre-recorded, by the way, for our listeners. So I can't ask you all how you are, but I can ask my guests. So I'm just going to let them think if there's one word or one phrase that describes how they are. And you all could just popcorn those out because we'll get to who you are.
I am feeling very relaxed. It's been a very busy day, so it's kind of helped me kind of calm down from everything that's been going on.
Great, thank you.
I would say recentered. Again, very busy as we're doing a lot of activities around the building today, and I needed that to recenter myself to be present in this moment. So thank you for that.
Great, thanks.
I also agree. It was wonderful, just as a moment to just resettle ourselves before we begin talking about this important concept.
Right. Okay. So now, for our listeners only who aren't seeing faces, I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves so that people can put together the names and the sounds of the voices. So anybody can start.
Okay, my name is Kristen Keating. I have been teaching in Great Valley School District for 30 years. I currently teach fourth grade, and I love incorporating all of the mindfulness techniques into my classroom. I'm glad that we're able to have some time each school year as a school to actually bring that to life and really teach everyone some of those same techniques.
Hmm. Thank you,
My
Chris.
name, sorry. My name is Sarah Gore. I have taught in the Great Valley School District for 10 years. Most of my time has been in kindergarten, and most recently, I've moved into the role of literacy specialist within our building. I work very closely with Kristen and the Mindfulness Day Committee to plan all of these amazing activities for our students. I feel very passionate, one, about reading and literacy for children, but also making sure that we are meeting the needs of the whole child, not just those academic pieces as well.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Marshall Hofferts. I'm the principal of KD Markley. I've been in Great Valley for 15 years. And I just want to say thank you, first of all, for our partnerships, Don. It's been an honor to do this work with just an amazing group of teachers and committee members, and also our PTO and Westchester itself. I'm just really blessed that we have the passion to do this work and understanding the importance it is for our students and for our teachers and for the bigger community itself, and how that really has made an impact on this school. And just, I'm so proud of the work that we're doing and continuing to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Marshall. So I know I know you all so well from the time that we've spent together, the 5 full days, I think it is now that we have, I've brought students and members of the staff of Learning Life Skills together more recently to help teach these kinds of skills on your mindfulness days. And it has really been wonderful. It's been a lot of fun for me. Because I get to be with students who are much younger than the ones I'm usually teaching. So I get different responses, different reactions, and that's great. And my students learn so much from coming in and working with the kids. And I know that's true of the other professors and students who are involved in Mindfulness Day as well. So we've been doing this a while now, and it's kind of hard to think back to that first one. So I'm kind of wondering if you can talk about how that first mindfulness day came into being. I mean, what was going on that sort of led to the foundation of Mindfulness Day?
Well, Don, this is Kristen, and I guess we're realizing it was the first year that students were back in school full time after COVID.
Right.
And we were really noticing when they were here full day that they weren't as when they left, understandably. And
Mm.
so there was a lot of rushing everywhere through the halls, rushing to get finished things, rushing to do anything. And they just were having trouble slowing down. We used a lot of flexible seating. That wasn't helpful. They were falling out of their chairs a lot. There was just a lot of
Wow.
trouble to attending. Yeah, and an increase in frustrating kind of behaviors and things that we'd seen where we see frustration through tears and those type of things because students were having more trouble. I felt being able to even tell us what was wrong. And
Mm.
so I went over to Marshall and I had my ideas printed up and said, is this a possibility? And instantly he's like, absolutely. I've been talking about the same exact need with so many colleagues. They were all seeing it in our school and kids in general. And
Mm.
so the first thought we did is let's get a team of teachers together who might also have that same interest. And Marshall put out an email, and instantly this incredible team was made. And Sarah leads that with keeping track of the schedules and making all the phone calls and a lot of the behind the scenes things. And this whole team, though, works together to come up with ideas and improve on what we've done each time. And it's great being able to work with our entire team to benefit so many students at once.
Yeah. So what I heard there was that the drivers were, how do we get slow down? How do we get the kids to slow down? And then how do we get them to pay attention in a different way, maybe than they have been? So,
Yeah, I just want to jump in a little bit. When Kristen came to me with this idea, of course, I jumped right in. And prior to the mindfulness work, we were doing a lot of work with growth mindsets and resiliency. And to me, this was just the next step as we were seeing these kids coming in and really struggling with those concepts.
mm,
Is being able to take like Angela Duckworth and whatnot. A lot of time on not yet. How do we get there? But that had a more academic tone to it, which is great. But our mindfulness tone is really the body itself, and how do I get myself to a place where I can take a risk, where I can try? How can I express my feeling of frustration? How can I express I'm really struggling with this? How can I express taking a risk? And it was something that I've been talking with other colleagues about, not only in Great Valley but beyond. Like, what are you seeing with kids? And as Kristen indicated, it was across all levels. The kids were coming back with just, they weren't ready. And,
Mm.
but I would say prior to this, we were already working down that path. But this has been an incredible journey. And I think, as Kristen was saying, the team itself was just so on board with what we're going to do school-wide. We're really purposefully focused and moving in that direction. And again, with Sarah being able to build a schedule, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, that really was able to impact the entire community. I think they established a nice foundation for this work.
Yeah. So you pretty much had this idea constructed, Kristen. Was there anything that came before your thought about Mindfulness Day as to how you might approach the issue? Or
Well, as Marshall shared, we had been doing a lot of growth mindset work, and teaching the students between a fixed and a growth mindset, and how we can use the power of the word yet, and that power to continue doing things. But we felt like it needed to be more direct instruction for these things, and breathing was the first thing that came to mind. Like, felt like that's where we need to start. And then Sarah and I kind of took it from there and tried to start talking about some other opportunities. And
Yes. So when Kristen came to me with this idea, we started brainstorming what were some other experiences that we could expose our students to outside of just academics and breathing. And my sister at the time was a current student at Westchester University in the music therapy program. So I actually reached out to her, and she connected me with Angela, one of the professors at Westchester. And we asked if they would be willing to come to our school on this mindfulness day so the children could experience music therapy, because so many of them either didn't know it existed or had never experienced it themselves. And through talking and working with Angela, she also opened the door to your office and told us, hey, there's an amazing office of contemplative studies at Westchester. You should reach out to them as well. So that's how we became connected to you also. And through brainstorming, we've also brought in yoga instructors so that the students can engage in yoga. We've done nature walks outside, mindfulness walks outside. We've done breathing lessons outside. Most recently, we did a lesson on bubble breathing, and then the students were able to take it outside and practice that on their own. But we've had a lot of different activities. We've also connected with the Westchester University women's lacrosse team to have them come in and work with the children on different active activities that they can do. Because we know that everybody experiences things differently. So we wanted to have a music avenue. We wanted to have an active avenue. We've had therapy dogs come in so that the children could experience that and learn what the purpose of therapy dogs are and how we act around them, and how does it make you feel when you have the opportunity to be around them. So we've had tons of different activities for the students to experience, so that all of their different learning ways can be valued, but also they can experience things that they may never experience outside of the mindfulness day.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's so much in what you're doing that is the same as what we're talking about in our program of learning life skills together. I mean, it all sort of rests on that idea of we can pay attention, we can slow down if we want to get into that, but we can pay attention in these very basic ways to what's going on around us, and then to how we feel inside us. And the more that I do this, and the more I talk to people and talk to kids, the more I see it's making that link with what am I feeling in my body, right? That's so important. And I think, Marshall, you even mentioned that, this sense of, being in your body, the sense of the physical well-being or the physical feelings that we have, and then being able to express them and being able to work with them. It's just, it's so actually deep. Everything flows out of that capacity, to recognize what's happening with us and how we are influenced by what's outside us.
I would even say, like, when we see the outcomes of this, developmentally, our kindergarten students of 5-year-olds can do the same thing that our 5th grade students are doing, and sometimes are more open to it and can really like refocus themselves. We've seen that result, which is very interesting because it's not like an age. It really developmentally works at multiple levels.
Yeah. So it's the same thing happening at a different developmental level. So the kindergartners are saying, "Oh, this feels this way," and the 5th graders have more vocabulary, more sense around it. Is that what it looks
I would
like?
say I would say the 5th graders have more vocabulary to express it, but we can
Right.
see the action of a kindergartner or a 1st grader being able to calm themselves. And we
Mm,
talk about frustration, being
right.
able, like, I'll have students that might be slightly dysregulated and will come in and we'll do breathing exercises, and they're able to re-regulate and move through it and talk about, well, I was really frustrated with X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And that's been a big change for us, where before we would struggle, but the kids are using some of these exercises as we're guiding them, and being reminded of it. But we'll talk to students, and they're taking this in, and regardless of age.
Mm,
Another thing that we have available to our teachers all year long is a Padlet of activities. And some of them are whole group activities they might do in their classroom, but we also have opportunities for journaling and other breathing prompts. And I even walked into one of our 5th grade classrooms the other day as they were just getting ready to start taking the state assessments, and their teacher was guiding them through a guided meditation right before they were getting ready to start. And when I walked into the room, it was so calm and peaceful, and they were just getting themselves into the mindset to be able to take this exam that for many students is very stressful.
yeah.
So we've even been able to implement them throughout the school day outside of Mindfulness Day.
Mm, wonderful. Yeah. So, um, let's see. So you've been doing this now for 5 semesters. Um, Kids have now experienced it for, in one grade and then in the next, and then now in a third grade level, I guess. How much has been retained, do you think, from this, and what do you see in terms of that longer time period of the effects on the kids and on the faculty, I want to say, on the teachers, because because there's something there for the teachers too, and I don't want to gloss over that at all.
I can speak just from what I've observed with some of our staff and faculty, and even personally. In all honesty, when Kristen first came to me with this idea, I was like, yeah, sure, I'm willing to help make a schedule and help with anything that you need, except I don't really know a lot about this topic. So I'm going to need you to help guide me because I'm a little uncomfortable because I don't know a lot about it. And I know that there were a handful of our teachers that felt that way as well. But as we've done more and they've been able to practice more of the activities, been exposed to more of them, they are feeling more comfortable in providing the activities within their classroom without extra guidance and even
Mm,
just incorporating things on their own. So the more exposure that they've had to it or opportunities to practice it, the more comfortable that they have begun to feel.
yeah, yeah.
I also was going to say our PTO gave us a great amount of support. They always do, but in the beginning by purchasing a few different things that teachers could have in their classroom to help them, start this all the time. So like the chimes and the bowls, we started with some of those things in the beginning, like the singing bowl and, some books on mindfulness. So we raffled off a bunch in the beginning. And then the district, because we use responsive classroom, also has given all the teachers the bell chime for that. So I think that having common language and then so many of our programs that overlap with it helps a great deal.
Yeah. So
I would just chime in a little bit on this. When we first brought this to the faculty, Kristen stands up in our faculty meeting and said, we really want to do this day. And I'm like, okay, what kind of buy-in do we need on this? There's that question, are people going to understand, and were they going to be nervous? They don't know as much, but we talked about making a lot of these activities very doable and purposeful, and as Chris said, common languages. So the things like the Padlets, the breathing exercises, these are things that take some practice to get comfortable with, but as we're doing it all together. And I believe when you came in and you modeled for us, Don, on our, was it the opening? It was fantastic. It was like the perfect way to start a day on something brand new, where we had everybody do the mindful exercise, very similar to what you did in this podcast. And that just set a tone that, this is something that we all believe in, that we are going to be part of our philosophy of a school, of belonging, of a family, and that we support one another. And these exercises help facilitate that philosophy and vision. On top of that, what you talked about was this is our 5th time going through, and what has changed. And I think what we've seen after every session, we make certain adjustments. And one of the big adjustments is everybody loves the dogs. And it couldn't be about going and petting a dog. Like the kids get all excited, hyped up. Oh, dogs! I do too. They're fantastic.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
But the purpose of the dogs. Yeah. So we spent this time, and I thought it was really great. We had trainers come and talk about a therapy dog and why they're so important to certain people and why they need them. And so there's this coaching philosophy, I think, that we're really starting to put together, which is education about what we're doing. They're not just activities for the sake of activity. They're really there with purpose. And that's also changed, I think, some of the view of this, where people are, the kids, even the adults, the PTOs watching. This is why we have dogs. So if you see a dog in a store, why does that person have that dog with them? As we're doing, the other big part is the music therapy. It's a huge part of our day, and the students love it. The teachers love it because it's so much of an activity, but it's also done very purposefully, and it's always repeated similar messages. So regardless of even if it's our 5 times, our students are coming away each time with a little deeper practice and understanding.
Yeah. I mean, it is like a perfect mirror of what, our program Learning Life Skills Together is trying to do, even with the way that it's working with the adults, as the adults become more fluent in what they're doing because they've done it themselves, that it becomes easier with the kids, and that's really where we're coming from, is these are skills for everybody. We all feel better when we can take advantage of these skills and bring them out, for ourselves and then for the kids, so that there's a you said the word buy-in. I mean, it's like, I'm not making you do this because it's good for you. It's like, this is how we have to live,
and all the pressures we talk about in education, I have to teach, I have to get, well, they're not ready for you to learn if they're not in the right set. And so that's really some of the message that was the quick buy-in. Okay, I believe it because I'm seeing that result. I'm seeing my students are able to regulate more, be able to take stress and work through it. There it is.
Yeah.
Part of the practice.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of the things that you're doing sort of slot into, if I can talk about our program for just a second. A lot of the things that you're doing, a lot of the activities that happen on Mindfulness Day, um, and that you're finding successful are things that we're also recommending and talking about in the program. I mean, just the whole idea of let's pay attention to how we feel and to what's going on around us. But then, we have this idea of let's move, right? Let's go for a walk together. Let's do that kind of thing. And so you actually did nature walks, which is one of the things we talk about, and bringing the lacrosse team from Westchester to do physical activity. I mean, one, it's so important just for our physical wellness, but the mental health aspect of it is huge as well. And the finally, sort of, you can either make it an arch over the top or a foundation underneath, is knowing what's happening with my body, what I'm feeling, what's happening. That comes out of, that kind of movement and doing those kinds of things. So, and I mean, I love our um music therapy program. I think it is just a stunning addition to what we do in the music school. And the students get so much from being with the kids at KD Markley. And sort of everybody settles into a way, because I'm in the lunchroom, right, where our music therapy students are having lunch and talking about, how excited they are and how they see these things happening with the kids. So very much like what we're recommending people do. Like right now in the program, the part that we're rolling out has to do with awe and beauty, and music is a part of that. And so to listen to music is one thing, but to make music is another entirely. We had the guitarist on who does our theme music for the podcast and for the whole content for us. And he actually teaches guitar to those music therapy students. So there's
Oh,
like this
wow.
huge looping around of how things connect. And he just points out how simple it is to do music with your kids and get to that attention, get to that feeling in the body, get to that vocabulary as well, which is what I'm working on right now, in terms of the program development. We're in this part where we're talking about emotion regulation. And one of the really big pieces of that is having the vocabulary around your emotions, to be able to name them, or name them and name them to tame them, as we say. So, when we did that check-in, the soles of the feet, I said, maybe that emotion you're feeling has a name, and maybe you can say it. Just going through that little practice, really helps us to take a little more um, quiet stance with what's going on with us. Because it's like, oh, that's a thing. That feeling that I have, that's that. It has that name. And so we have a different relationship than when we're just all taken over by it. That's one of the really, for me, one of the dramatic things that you see with kids as they get more and more language around how they're feeling. So,
I
Don,
think
just,
it's also, oh, sorry.
yeah,
I was going to say,
yeah,
just to add on to that, so many of our little ones, and especially kindergarten through second grade, when you're asking them how they feel, it falls into two categories. They're feeling happy or sad. And by doing so many of these activities and read alouds, like you said, kids are being able to identify more emotions than
Yes.
just happy and sad, and understand that there's levels to their emotions and why they might be feeling that way. And just, because I am a literacy specialist, that connects with them, being
Yeah.
able to make connections with characters that they're reading in books or other people that are in their classroom. They can become more understanding of how those people or characters might be feeling, why they might be feeling that way, and also name the emotion, because there's a lot of difference between I'm sad and I'm just frustrated. And it's opened up kind of their vocabulary, like you said, to a range of emotions rather than just two.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, and this just feeds in through everything, through how they act things out. If all you have is happy and sad and maybe mad, you're gonna just go straight into it. But as you say, you got those other levels of it, and oh, okay, I can live with that, you know?
I was
Yeah.
going to say, I think, Don, a lot of the things that your students have been able to teach ours has really taught them how much control they truly do have over their feelings and, whatever happens to be happening in their body, how they can control themselves and really use the power of their breathing to relax them whenever necessary.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's an amazing thing, just how quickly the students can grasp these things and kids can grasp these things. So, so here's something that I really wanted to discuss with you guys, which is you're doing mindfulness days and you're working these kinds of skills into sort of the everyday of the school. And kind of what this program, Learning Life Skills Together, is aimed at is at the parents and the carers, as we call them, the people that the kids run into outside of school who care for them and who care about them. So my question is, you know, and this is a theoretical question, what if the kids were getting all of this stuff reinforced in all those places? They're in school and people are giving their emotions names. They're at home and they're giving emotions names. They're at their soccer game and the coaches are saying, look, here's what's going on right now. Can you check in and see what you're feeling? And I mean, what do you think of that? And
But
do you think we can get there?
I
Do you
feel like
think?
we're already headed there between programs like Learning Life Skills Together and then things like when schools do mindfulness days and incorporate the families, incorporate the parents that want to come and learn about some
Mm,
of these skills as well. Let them see it and hear the language as well. And then as
yeah,
teachers in our schools and actually all staff in our schools can continue to, reinforce how to do some of these activities, how to use this language. I feel like we're on our way.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is it. I know I'm preaching to the choir, but that's why these things are not things that we know. They're things that we practice, and doing them over and over and over again sort of gets them inside us. It gets them, like I don't have to think. This is how I live my life. This is how I do these things. And so the more places in the child's life these things show up, the more practice there is, and the more it's just down inside them. This is how life can be lived, you know? Maybe a little slower, maybe with a little more balance, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. So yeah, so the more we can have people involved in these things, and by people I mean adults, you know, bringing these ideas out, I think the closer we're going to get to that way, just having a way that we are. This is what life is. It works this way. So I have my usual question for you all. And since there's three of you, I'm starting this a little earlier than I normally would in the thing. So as we wrap things up, I like to ask my guests if they have a word of wisdom. What is it that you keep at the top of your mind when working with these many life skills and these many kinds of practices? So maybe you can take a moment and respond. You can take it in whatever order inspiration strikes.
I can go first. Mine's more of a phrase, but mine is don't be afraid to try something new. Because, like I
Mm,
explained earlier, this was something that I didn't really know much about. Made me a little bit nervous to jump into something that I didn't feel as though I had a lot of background knowledge on. Um, but jumping in, giving it a try has really opened a lot of doors and avenues. So I think just living that mantra of don't be afraid to try something new.
mm, okay. Thank you so much, Sarah.
I think I really try to remember, everybody, when every student comes in, how much power that I have in that with them for 7.5 hours, and how I can incorporate things like, breathing and mindfulness and kindness and some basic things with them in that time. I can, you know, have a lot of control of how their day goes, and being able to help and teach them throughout the day, because I do work in one classroom all day long. I'm able to do that.
Mm,
And I'm really glad to, because we don't know what our students are coming in with each day when they do arrive at school, and it's hard, and we want to meet them where they are. And so being able to start the day and to really, get into our right mindset is really important.
yeah. So it sounds like you sort of start off with a practice.
We start off each day by we start off with a morning meeting, and we talk as a class first. Sometimes we might do a practice, sometimes we might do a breathing. We vary it right now, although we have
Yeah.
plans to incorporate some things a little bit differently in the future. As Marshall said, we're always changing and improving ourselves.
So I think that all of those things I would classify as practice, in this kind of big way of we want to be doing these things so they get down inside us, right? So they become second nature to be able to talk about how we are in a meeting.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they have lots of opportunities in the school day
Yeah.
for that, which is nice.
Yeah. Terrific.
I mean, just listening to both Sarah and Kristen, I'm just so blessed. They have such a great team. Just I
Yeah.
agree with everything that they're saying. As a leader, I think it's really important. I keep thinking about slow down and have patience. Um, we're so much in a rush, and everything's a crisis. Everything has to be hit, right away. Whether that's in a lot of aspects of our life, we live a very busy, immediate action. And my takeaways are: it's okay to take a moment, reflect,
Mm.
process. And that goes right with the mindfulness work. And I think we do that as we interact with each other and we interact with our students and our families and model that. And it's hard because we are forced against the wall sometimes about like the priority. I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking, as I'm trying to talk with the people I interact with, I'm not perfect. I'm still working on it, but trying to take that moment as well.
Yeah, yeah. I have a friend who defines mindfulness as pausing.
Mm.
She says all you have to remember is you can take a pause. It's okay. 10 seconds, 5 seconds, but so that we don't just react, so that we have that little bit of reflection in there.
Exactly, but it's in our nature to react, right? So
Yeah,
you really work on
yeah,
listening, reflecting on it, taking that moment, pausing, really trying to understand the other perspective, and be able to move through and to
yeah.
do that personally as well. That's kind of my takeaway.
And it takes practice.
Absolutely.
As you were saying, I'm not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. But yeah, the idea of we can put that little bit of time, that little bit of space in there and not just blurt out the next thing or run to the next thing. That's the other one. What actually do I want to do? How actually would this be best? Yeah, wonderful. Well, I
Exactly.
know you all are doing that, and I know you all are getting that kind of thing way down into the children that are with you uh, each day and each week. So I'm looking forward to the next mindfulness day and to see where that might go.
We really appreciate the partnership, Don, and it's been
Yeah,
wonderful to grow with you and your students as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one as well.
yeah. No,
Thank you.
it's so great to think about the kid in kindergarten and the graduating senior, and that they're both having the same kind of, as you were saying, Marshall, that same kind of response, that same kind of learning happening at that moment. That's so cool. So, right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
Bye
Thank
Thank
bye.
you.
you, Don. Enjoy.